My name is Thomas Jefferson.
And I am Abraham Lincoln.
WTF America?
The Occupy Wall Street crowd has it right, and the rest of America is starting to wake up to what has been going on.
I don't mean to toot my own horn, but it is all right there in the US Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
What he means is, some of you are having a hard time articulating just what the Occupy Wall Street movement is all about, and there is some mixed messaging going on and, well, we would like to help.
We are not trying to speak for everyone, but I think we speak for everyone when we say, what the fuck happened to America? I mean, what the fuck?
That is not constructive, TJ. This OWS movement might be our last chance to return this country to the people as it was intended. I did not get drilled in the back of my head for nothing trying to keep this country together last time things got ugly, just to see the USA turn into a police state now.
You gave a few good speeches back in the day. Let's give these mainstream media clowns something to think about.
We the people have come together in cities all across America to form a movement that has come to be known as Occupy Wall Street. Our goal is to restore the role of government to the primacy of the concerns and wishes of the citizens of these United States. We demand nothing less than a return to the principles and ideals laid out in the United States Constitution. We have drifted far from the supreme law of the United States of America and now find our government infiltrated by the criminal banking elite, hijacked by obscene corporate influences and no longer responsive to the will of the people. Thomas Jefferson best illustrated the essential nature and purpose of our constitutional form of government when he wrote,
"The two enemies of the people are criminals and government. So let us tie the second down with the chains of Constitution. So the second will not become the legalized version of the first."
The Occupy Wall Street Manifesto is a living document and not intended as a finite list of demands, but rather a proclamation of the awakening of the Second American Revolution. For every man and woman gathering in the streets, thousands more stand in solidarity all across this land. Every day more are awakening to the call. We represent a vast majority in all ages, hues, and religions that embodies the American experience. The mainstream media, in its role to protect and preserve the status quo, will attempt to portray us as malcontents, naive liberals and slackers. The police will try to disrupt and provoke. Let us not forget that we are all Americans, united in our struggle for liberty and to live the words of our founders. Words that carry warnings of how freedoms are lost, as well as a framework for establishing them. These words, written over 2 centuries ago, are now entwined within the DNA of us all. As the police come to understand that their pension funds and retirement accounts have been raided by the very powers whose interests they protect, that their future and ours and that of their children are one, then they too will form ranks beside us.
The talking heads on the nightly news will hold no sway in the face of the rude truth laid bare. The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants.
No permit is required. Our wish is to gather peacefully to demand change and debate ideas, but we will not be ignored. We will not be turned away. We will not go home. This historic moment has been thrust upon us and the world is watching. Yet the timing could not be more prescient. We stand at the precipice of currency collapse on a global scale while the ruling elite seek to concentrate wealth and power. We have seen our savings and purchasing power decimated, our quality of life diminished, our futures undermined with debt, our rights as sovereigns made conditional, even revocable. Change is coming. America is on the cusp of a new paradigm. As a nation disenthralled by corporate greed, conscious of government's deceit and wise to the Ponzi scheme that is our financial system, we have found our voice.
Across all generations, we have taken up the mantle to bring about a new day in which justice and democratic freedoms replace hypocrisy, greed and corruption of the unresponsive government that now threatens the future, silences our voices and perverts our will. We will succeed by any means necessary.
Occupy Wall Street Manifesto. We hereby proclaim that we the people of the United States of America, in recognition of our rights as sovereign citizens and with full knowledge of our great history and the power of our republic, today stand together in cities and towns all across America to take back our representative form of government that derives its just powers by the consent of the governed. For it is incumbent upon us, as our absolute right and our duty, to alter or abolish our system of government when it grows corrupt and unresponsive to the people. By consent, demonstrated by the men and women of the Occupy Wall Street movement, together with tens of millions of citizens that lend support to this call for reform, we hereby proclaim that the time has come to purge and to realign our governmental systems away from capitulation and influence by powerful financial institutions and the industries of perpetual war. We call for an end to the entrenched and anti-democratic forces of the special interests that pervade our halls of Congress and subvert with their unlimited resources our will to self-determination. No longer will our collective intelligence be insulted, nor our sovereign liberties curtailed by such Orwellian laws as the Patriot Act and the Citizens United ruling. Neither will we accept unconstitutional dictums that attempt to undermine or subvert our dignity as citizen voters, nor recognizes our natural freedoms and unalienable rights that no laws may grant and no corporate entities may possess.
We demand reform of the reckless Federal Reserve and its destructive policy of endless deficits and devaluation of baseless fiat dollars that have impoverished us as a nation and brought us to this critical juncture in our history. Among the following we seek immediate redress and reform.
Banking. The money powers prey upon the nation in times of peace and conspire against it in times of adversity. The banking powers are more despotic than a monarchy, more insolent than autocracy, more selfish than bureaucracy. They denounce as public enemies all who question their methods or throw light upon their crimes.
Our government has been bought and sold by the coercive monopolies of the banking cartels. Beholden to the banks and Wall Street's elite, the office of the president, be it held by Republican or Democrat, has been unable to defy their power and influence. President Obama's top 10 campaign contributors for 2008 and again in 2012 are PACs from Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan Chase and Citigroup. Mitt Romney's top campaign contributors are Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America and J.P. Morgan Chase. The list is similar for the other frontrunners and this is nothing new. This collusion among the banks makes the election's outcome irrelevant. It ensures financial regulations and laws, promulgated to bar monopolies, and to competitive behavior, and unfair business practices will never be enforced. Instead, scandal and corruption are now the norm, with greed codified into law.
To be fair, that Ron Paul fellow does not take PAC money. Not an endorsement, just saying. The system is broken. Power is concentrated. New laws cannot be the answer. The Sherman Act, Volcker Rule, Sarbanes-Oxley, Dodd-Frank and others, some of these financial regulations have existed for decades, yet go unenforced. If such laws were made binding, much of the abuse would end. But it will not end. It cannot end until the citizens of this country take back power, decentralize the banks, unseat Wall Street and banking oligarchs and reassert our political will.
Subjugated by the bankers, the taxpayer shoulders their burden. Freed from risk constraints by assurance of government bailouts, infused with unlimited funds from the Fed, interest-free, these Wall Street and banking institutions operate above the law and thwart a free, self-correcting market. None among the banking elite were ever prosecuted of the financial crisis or the mortgage crisis that cost taxpayers trillions. They invest only for their own enrichment with little regard for risk. Codependent upon government and the Federal Reserve, favored over the tax-paying public. When these banks' reckless speculation and subversive market manipulation threaten global stability with their own insolvency, the government steps in, their bad debts are covered and we pay the price. We won't be fooled again. I believe it was the Italian chap that quite rightly said fascism should more appropriately be called corporatism because it is a merger of state and corporate power.
Benito Mussolini.
That's the one.
And if was Ford, Henry Ford that said, "It is well enough that the people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system, for if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning."
Decree too big to fail. Henceforth these banks will be deemed too big to bail. Ops, crap, time's up. Please go to Occupy Wall Street Constitutional Manifesto Part 2. Thanks.